The only thing that separates people without a home and people with homes is often unfortunate circumstances in their lives that could happen to anyone.
There are so many families and individuals that are a paycheck away from being on the streets.
One of the chief misconceptions about homelessness is that people choose that lifestyle. If people choose that, then what have they not chosen?
You're going to freeze to death out here. If you did that, it'll haunt me for the rest of my life.
Sometimes it's hard to find the solution. One person can make a difference. I think that's what Charlie did.
No, I'm trying to get you to the room in the inn. Let's go.
We lived right north of the Bicentennial Mall. Our mother made $150 a month. To be honest, we thought we were rich. It was a neighborhood where the poor worked for the poor. It had its own economy. They were homeless as I look at them today, but we never thought of them as homeless. And we felt that this was a special place. And Sufferdale was between 4th and 5th.
Ballpark was basically built in an area of natural sulfur springs. Gave a distinct flavor to the hot dogs, I think.
And there was this halo of lights, and I heard the cheering of the crowd from our windows, and I began this romance with baseball.
He used to say to me, we got our feelings for the poor and downtrodden from our mother.
Her attitude was, instead of receiving, of trying to give.
Father Strobel himself coming to say hi. God bless you.
There are all kinds of perceptions we have about the homeless. Everybody on the street is not an addict, but there are a lot of people who are homeless who get up every day and they go to work. And to label homeless folks as just being chronic alcoholics and drug addicts really discourages them. Room in the Inn began on a cold night in Nashville, and I was inside the rectory getting ready to go to bed, and they're out in the parking lot, and it was going to be cold that evening. So I thought, I'll go down and let them in. And I just couldn't go to sleep, and knowing they were sleeping outside. I said, if I do this tonight, I may end up doing this for the rest of my life.
He started very simply, but he really understood the problem. And he respected every one of those men or women who came to his shelter.
There are a lot of groups that help the homeless, but Room in the Inn, I think, is when we take who nobody else will take. And that's what God's love is all about.
We had a lot of people that were supporting us, and it wasn't us. It was the congregations who gave it the heart and the soul.
Church is like a billboard, and it's advertising, openness, love. If we can't provide any of the things that we're advertising, maybe we ought to shut them down.
He's a living example of taking that priest responsibility, that ministerial responsibility, and interpreting it in a broader way. He's just serving all of God's church or all of God's community.
He figured out a way to use resources that didn't necessarily mean going somewhere and getting a big grant, but just how to use human resources.
Charlie Strobel came to Mayor Bredesen's office to talk about how men who are found intoxicated, they take them to the drunk tank, and Father Strobel came with a proposal, give them to me, not only as a place where you can sleep it off, but a place where you can make a whole new start.
What's amazing is when you have the practicality to pull that vision into action. And that is what is so powerful about Charlie Strobel.
I call him the best panhandler in Nashville because he raised all the money and got this place built, and it's just incredible.
When people say, what do the homeless need? I said, they need what you and I need. The physical needs of food, clothing, and shelter, social needs of education and employment, and then those higher needs of finding meaning and purpose in life. And so what we're trying to do with the Room in the Inn is to begin the conversation of finding out what it is that you wish and want.
From the very beginning, it was their guest, and to that point of, we have much to learn. We have much to give, but we also have much to receive from them.
What I've learned from them is how good they are and how much they've endured. But they teach me about courage and perseverance and love and kindness. They deserve to be here.
No one ever thought that someone like Mary Catherine Strobel, who had done so much for so many, would ever be treated so badly.
It's humbling whenever they say thank you for something I've done, when in fact I want to thank them, because I tell them they saved my life. I was curled up in the fetal position after my mother died, and I heard, metaphorically, their voices saying, "Get up, open the gate." I didn't want to. And that's on me. But I got up.
Well, I met him in a very unusual way. In 1988, I knew him really by reputation and things that I'd read in the news and so forth. But on December 7th of that year, I was forced into a car in the parking lot of the shop that I owned and operated. And there just happened to be a shopper there. It was in the morning, he was there early, noticed all the commotion and decided that he would follow the car that I was trapped in. And when I was able to get out of the car through the back door and just rolling out onto the road, I ran to the car following, and he was my Good Samaritan. And it was Jerry Strobel. And kind of another odd thing happened that same morning when I was able to think clearly and I realized all these things. There was also a Strobel relative that was in my shop at that very time, returning something. And then I'm thinking, it was almost 2 years to the day that Mary Catherine Strobel, Jerry's mother, was forced into a car and lost her life. And Jerry had to be thinking about that day. I mean, just for him to be concerned about some commotion he saw and to get into his car and to follow us. So I just thought, wow, this is just too much happenstance. And while I didn't know Charlie, I called him up and I said, I think we ought to talk. So we came out to the shop, and that was the first time I met him, and we just talked about things. And I just said, Charlie, your mother's an amazing woman. I think she wanted us to meet. And Charlie, Charlie's laugh, how he laughs. He said, yes, she was an amazing woman. And from that day, we've been friends.
Life is a gift. Our morality is gratitude. So we're giving in gratitude for all that we've received. That was huge.
He's in the moment, and he views life that way. His pure love for being part of people's lives is what drives him. He really believes in the power of every single person.
Michael Turner used to call me Strobe Light.
We're all God's children, and we all are due a degree of respect. Nobody should be out there with nowhere to turn.
I hope that we are part of a thriving community. I think that's important for us to always make sure that they have a voice and a seat at the table. Nashville is lucky to have room in the inn.
We have this wonderful $13 million building downtown, and people will see it and they'll say, well, this must be a dream come true. And I said, I never dreamed it. I just wanted to get them in for the night so I could get some sleep.
Charlie's the only person that can get an award like this, and you think he's doing you a favor.
And if I can think of any one person whose touch in so many ways saved lives, improved lives, enriched lives, it would be Charlie Strobel.
I hope his legacy is inclusion, that everybody has a seat at the table.
When I think of Charlie Strobel, I think of when my wife first met him. She said, he just looks like an angel.
If you look at the tables that are here today, look across the table. Look into the face of each person that's at your table and recognize the goodness that's in that face. And that's the beginning of seeing everybody as lovable. We can do it right here at our table. Do it. For years, we were the Athens of the South, and the people of Athens had a saying that other cities make better products. We make better humans. That's what we can be. We can be a city that makes better humans. And each of us can do that. The people around our circle are better for being with us.
We've become a model that other cities have adopted. There's 35 other cities that have replicated the Room in the Inn winter shelter model.